Sometimes anime fans actually take it way too far with their love for anime that they will attack anything and everyone on sight. Today we're kind of talking about Oshi No Ko, a very popular anime in spring 2023. It discusses the nature of fame, idol life, and how terrifying it can actually be. The most recent episode, episode 6, was one of a very dark nature, depicting the reality of fame, cyberbullying, and all the potential harm that could come your way when you become a personality and under the eye of everyone. I'm sure most of you have seen this episode or have heard about it somewhere. The character I'm talking about is called Akane. She almost takes her life in the episode after a bit of cyberbullying that she experiences. After an unfortunate incident in a reality TV show she was a part of where she hurt a fellow actress, she received a lot of hate on the internet, and some would say it's too excessive how much hate she received over this. Now here's where this gets weird. You might have heard that the anime and the incidents within the episode were loosely based off the life of Kimura Hana. She is a professional Japanese wrestler, and she also took part in a famous reality TV show called Terrace House. Now, due to the hate that she experienced from Terrace House and its fandom, she ended up taking her life in 2020. She experienced a gross amount of cyberbullying trauma. She even took to social media to say something about it before she was found having taken her own life. Now, anyone that knows the story will know that Kimura Kyoko, her mother, has always honored her online and has always created a place for people to mourn her death and celebrate her life as well. Now, Kimura Kyoko has actually come across the episode in Oshi No Ko that depicts this, and she has taken to criticize the anime, saying that it is not okay that they use her as source material for this work. And upon criticizing the anime, of course, the fans had a lot of opinions. Now, it seems that a lot of the Oshi No Ko fans have taken to attacking Hana's mother over this criticism, and I think it is honestly really gross that they're doing exactly what Hana died to. That's honestly the shocking thing about this. The episode clearly depicts how awful it is to be a victim to this, and yet people are doing the same thing that caused someone to commit suicide. Why attack Hana over a piece of media that is supposedly fictional? Now, I believe the mangaka Akasaka hasn't ever really mentioned that the story is based on Hana Kimura, but I believe a lot of people drew the parallels due to the timeline of the story. If you look at the comments on the internet, you'll see that a lot of people seem to believe that it is based on the real life story of Hana Kimura. However, many have gone in to take a look at when the storyboard was written for the manga and have found out that it was released or has been drafted before the incidents of Hana Kimura's suicides. So while a lot of people think that this was an homage to Hana Kimura, it honestly may have been just an unfortunate timing of events and purely coincidental. While a lot of people are saying that it's a case of bad luck in hindsight and her grievances don't necessarily hold water when you take into account the conceptual drafts of the story were planned beforehand, I don't think it dispels the feeling that her mother is experiencing at this time. The timing is way too coincidental. Her mother even explicitly says that it's almost 3 years of an anniversary of her death. Obviously, this triggers something within her to feel upset about this, that there is such a prominent anime out there discussing the same nature of what happened to her own daughter. And now she goes to say, by using a true story, people who treasure Hana are now deeply hurt. Can you imagine? What's more is the anime's release time is timed so nearly to the anniversary of Hana's death. I despise you from the bottom of my heart. Now, I'm not sure who she's talking about in this incident. I don't know if she's talking about the mangaka Asakasa for even publishing this and for them to even create this episode and air it for everyone to see, but clearly she is feeling distraught, she is feeling hurt, and her feelings are absolutely valid, and to any of those that loved Hana and were fans of her as well. While there has been no statement made by the studio that works on Oshi No Ko and none from the mangaka himself, I think that due to the nature of how close these events are and how similar they are, it might have been good to speak to the mother of Hana Kimura, because a lot of people drew that parallel anyways, and it might have been good for them to actually seek permission to be able to maybe honor her memory this way and prevent other people from ever doing the same thing to someone else. I mean, Hana Kimura is not the only instance of this happening to a celebrity. It has happened many times over and over again, but as a way to tell people and honor her memory through this episode. I wonder if they ever did reach out and maybe did not get the permissions to do so, and even so, their work is different and exclusive to her life events. It still does leave a bad taste in the mouth, and it feels like a lot of people feel this way about it, that you can never truly separate the two events just because because of the likeness and the timeline of it all. So I went to read some of the more reasonable responses on the internet about how they felt about this anime, and honestly, it doesn't really matter what we think. It doesn't really matter what we feel as anime fans. I think whose opinions matter the most here are Kyoko Kimura and obviously the mangaka himself, and how they'll basically navigate this water, how they'll try and make amends with each other or try and publish a statement out there for any of those that might be hurt by events like this, and to basically prevent it from happening again in the future. But I still thought it would be interesting to take a look at what people were saying. So Farah here says, I think her reaction is 100% justified. This episode released right before the 3rd anniversary of Hana's death. Too much of a coincidence. Like, why piggyback off a real incident without contributing to the people involved? How would anyone feel if a major anime released an episode based on their child's suicide a few days before the anniversary of it without consulting them in any way? It's exploiting their death for profits. Now, if let's say it was based on Hana Kimura's story and maybe we're making a mistake somewhere here, I think that this is wrong. I think absolutely she's justified. It's not supposed to be something that makes money. They should have consulted her. They should have honored her. They should have put tribute in some way or fashion, and they should have consulted the mother. However, if it has nothing to do with her and was just merely a coincidence, I think there's still something to be said about a communication forming between Hana Kimura's mother and the studio that is making these episodes, because there's no way the PR team would not be aware of the timeline of these incidents. It feels like a right decision would have been to consult each other and to see how to navigate this. Someone else goes to say that this is sad. The original author's intention was to tackle the very same issues and attitudes that killed Hana and was directly inspired by her case. Still, we don't know too much about that, and anyone who understood the anime and manga criticized would think twice before attacking the mother of Hana. Now, I don't think I have that much faith in the anime fans and people on the internet to actually have that much reason not to do the same. We've seen it time and time again. People will do all kinds of things in the name of things that they love to other people who are directly not even responsible for this. Like, why attack another human being on the internet? It's not even in this industry, you see it in so many other industries. It really just goes to leave a bad taste in your mouth of how people can be almost rabid about this, and it's like not even their own lives. Like, is it really hurting you that someone who's actually directly impacted by events that happened to them is hurt in criticizing this? No, you have no rights to feel what you feel. And you shouldn't be standing up for a piece of medium that is actually hurting some other people right now. And I'm not saying that an episode like episode 6 of Oshi No Ko should not be ever aired or published. I think that there is just a tactful way to do it, because I think the topics being addressed are very important and very serious. There are probably a lot of people that suffer from it, and that message needs to be heard, not just by those suffering from it, but mainly the people who spread hate. It really makes you want to think twice when you type something on the internet. Is it good? Is this something like positive I'm leaving in the world? Is this something I need to say? Because it feels like half the time the comments that you come across on the internet should have never been said at all. Now, someone else goes to say both sides have a point. One side is right, and that Kimura Hana's strategy should not be used for entertainment for the masses. However, the other side is right as well, because the episode is an homage and has brought significant attention to cyberbullying, issue that has been somewhat ignored in recent times. Frankly, there's no clear right choice, and in the end it comes down to your own morality and sense of right or wrong. I think ultimately here what needs to tackle these problems of cyberbullying may not be an anime, even though it's a good way to put a light on it, but there needs to be a change in the laws of the country where cyberbullying may occur so that it does not happen to anyone else in the future. And I think her mother also is justified to feel hurt about something that seems to be popularized. Like, think about all the people who are watching reactions of this on YouTube to see the shock factor, and I mean, I reacted to it as well, but I knew not what I was getting into as I watched the episode. And when I think about it as well, I don't want to benefit off someone else's pain to make reactions on the internet. It just doesn't make me feel good as a person. I can make a commentary about this. I can hopefully enlighten other people and talk about it as I'm doing this video, but I don't want to contribute to someone else's pain. It's good for us to have a conscience of being able to put ourselves in the shoes of victims or people who have suffered, or to those who have been in these situations or observed them happen, because their opinions are the ones that matter the most. They're the ones who have the most validity in how anyone should feel about these circumstances. And I think if everyone just uses a tiny bit more empathy in their day for their fellow human being, I think we would be a lot better as a human race. Sometimes people like not to put themselves in other people's situations because they don't understand it or they just don't want to. to, which I think is the really shocking part, is when you are not willing to put yourself in the position of someone else who may be receiving this. So every time you leave a hate comment, think about that. Think about the person who's going to be receiving this and what kind of day they might have been going through before they read your comment. What kind of life might they be having, and what are their circumstances? You don't know if your comment is literally going to be the last thing that someone sees. So to wrap up this video, don't be that person, don't be that anime fan that defends something without really understanding the gravity of the situation. And as this person said, you can tackle societal issues without having to exploit victim suffering.